Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. We are going to get in today with another question that came from my inbox. I've got an awful lot of them, and I'm just kind of going through those questions, and sometimes I group them a little bit. This is definitely one that was voiced or stated very specifically by a few people, but it's one that echoes throughout a lot of other people's notes and questions. It's basically, I still am holding on to a lot of hope that my person is going to come back. What's the best thing for me to do? So that's what we're going to jump into today. And it's going to be a general reading, as always. It's not going to resonate with everybody, but if it does resonate with you, then realize that it's a general reading for this collective. So if it resonates with you, it may be that you're part of the collective and you need to come back and check out some of the other videos, maybe even think about subscribing. So we'll go ahead and jump in with the energetic and the emotional backdrop. And this is just kind of the energetic and emotional backdrop for the day, so that we'll have some context in which to take the rest of the messages that come out. Oops, I dropped one on the floor and it did fall face down. So we've got the Five of Cups. There's kind of this feeling of sorrow, little bit of a feeling of sorrow and not really being able to control things having fallen over or continuing to fall over. There's interesting. It's an interesting Five of Cups because it's often got that shameful or sorrowful feel to it. It doesn't usually have the I'm watching everything go wrong and there's nothing I can do about it sort of feeling. Interesting. So this is a sense of powerlessness, but sometimes powerlessness isn't a problem. It's just a matter of I really didn't need to extend much power or exert much power. But here's a place where it's feeling like a problem. There's a King of Swords here, which feels a little bit like it is going to be the positive side in all this. Ooh, and an Ace of Cups. This can also be very positive, but it's also a lot of emotion. So the King of Swords is that very mindful and yet logical side that's able to, when it's balanced, take a look at the big situation, the overall situation, and be able to say, here's what we should do going forward. And so even though there's a lot of sorrow there, even though it feels like it's outside of my control, here's how I'm going to handle it. This is the part of you that comes up with a plan, and it is highly active today. So that's in both of you. This is all very shared energy. So it's just energy that you're kind of swimming around in and navigating in. There's also a lot of emotion, a lot of feeling of, it's love flowing, but it's just a very emotional kind of, it's the kind of day where if you watch a movie that's sad, you might end up doing a lot of crying. It's that kind of feeling. Knight of Wands, but in the reverse. This is not the day where I would expect for your person to be especially consistent if you have been having interactions with them. It's a day for working through things, and it looks like that opportunity is definitely here, but it's something that needs to happen. So you may want to, if you're not hearing from your person, kind of be glad and work on yourself. This is a great day for working on yourself. It's like one of those rainy day kind of days. But we've got another Five of Cups, which is more of that focus on things that haven't gone well or things that aren't going well. So you notice that as this person is standing here, they're focusing on, and this is a fairly traditional looking Five of Cups, the way that it's drawn. They're looking at these cups that have fallen over and not really focusing on these two back here where all of the opportunity is still there with those. They are still standing, still have the capacity to hold liquid, hold that emotion. Got the Eight of Wands, so there's almost too much energy coming at you today, almost too much energy coming at your person. You'll have different ways of handling that, of letting that go by or not letting it go by. I get the sense that neither of you is really trying too hard to push things. I mean, I get the Knight of Wands there in the reverse kind of feel, and I'm very emotional, have the ability to kind of back up and take a step and back and look at things, but there's just so much going on, and it's not necessarily the preference in this energy to do that. And there is definitely some pain. There's pain and imbalance, pain that's being brought up, maybe even being re-triggered in this energy, because sometimes what I've noticed throughout this is that your memories can even trigger you a little bit, and it feels a little bit like some days you just wake up, and somebody mentioned this the other day in one of their notes. They were just kind of like, you know what, some days I wake up and I just miss this person so much, and the everything that's wrong is just so much more wrong. This has the potential to be one of these days. Just know this is temporary. It may very much not reflect the kind of day that you may have tomorrow, especially if you're in a place where you're having some good days and some bad days. With the Ace of Wands here, there's opportunity being presented, and it just seems to frustrate. So be gentle with yourself. Be gentle if you have the opportunity with your person. This is a tough energy to be in. Yeah, there's information coming, but it doesn't seem to do much. There's too much overwhelm here, too much slow activity, too much overwhelm, too much going on, and not enough of the sort of mood that they need to be in, or that you need to be in, to be able to resolve it. So having additional clarity and additional information really does not necessarily help as much as it might on a day where this King of Swords energy had more to work with. So this is a very solid King of Swords energy that can step in and say, okay, here's the plan. And that's why you're going to be okay. Why both of you are going to be okay. But you've got 2 Five of Cups. You've got the 2 of Pentacles in reverse, the 5 of Pentacles in the upright. There are a lot of things here. 10 of Wands. There are a lot of things here that are kind of culminating in a bit of an overwhelming, frustrating, emotional sort of day. But it does look like everything's going to be fine with that King of Swords energy there. That's going to get you through. That'll get both of you through. Okay, and this is exactly why we pull this energy, because you always want to know if there's something special going on in the energy, so you can take that into consideration when you look at the rest of the answer that comes out. Because sometimes you say, oh, hey, this is how this is. This is how this person is feeling. This is actually pretty cool. And then you look back at this and you realize, oh, that's why I'm being told maybe not to reach out, or whatever the combination is that comes out. It usually, this helps the whole thing make more sense. Okay, so then looking at, the question was, I still have an awful lot of hope that my person is going to come back. How should I handle this? So we've got our emotional and energetic backdrop. What I'd like to do here is look at the situation of kind of what's happening there that's generating all of this hope for you, and then we're going to look at really what you should do with that. And I think we're going to really spend a little bit more time on the what you should do portion. But let's get a bit more of a feel for exactly what's happening in today's energy with the relationship, not just in the mood around you, but what it has evolved into. Because as we've seen, there's been a lot of significant change. And now, as we are deeply into this Venus retrograde, heading toward a Mercury retrograde here later in the month. And we did have a full moon that it's now a few days behind us, but we still kind of feel the edges of it. It was a pretty powerful one. Yeah, let's just get a better feel for what's happening in the energy of the relationship overall. See what's happening in the energy of the relationship overall. Okay, we don't want all those cards. We do want this one. We do want these. All right. Now, I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't tell what these are just yet. I'll be as surprised as you, which honestly is part of why sometimes, and I like to do this without glasses, so my vision's not too bad, but I still sometimes have to focus on the cards. And so you'll notice that sometimes I'll be talking about something, and then I'll look down and there'll be another one face up, and I'll say, oh, here's everything I just said. I legitimately probably haven't looked at it or haven't looked at it well enough to see it. So here, though, we've got the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Swords, and the Queen of Cups. Yes, it's the foil that's getting me here. So hopefully you guys are able to see that. But with the Queen of Cups, there's an exorbitant amount of love. I don't even need to really read them to be able to feel it. I mean, there's an exorbitant amount of love here, and it is just, it's water energy, and it just washes over the situation, washes over the relationship, washes over you. But with this Knight of Wands and Knight of Swords energy here, your person almost like has an umbrella or capacity to have an umbrella over them so that they are safe from the love washing over the situation. With the Knight of Wands, it is, this is that in and out behavior. And the Knight of Swords is where the hiding comes from. So this is all those defense mechanisms that really do sit there like an umbrella over the situation so that your person doesn't have to contend with all of the love. Because when they weren't employing the defense mechanisms and they were just feeling the love, they were feeling like they were getting out of control emotionally. And that's really not a place that they find to be very comfortable. So this is part of what you need to know as you're thinking through the situation and the hope that you're having that your person is going to come back, because this is part of what they have to overcome in order to do so. That's one of the things that maybe it's helpful to know, not just what's happening, but what do they have to overcome in order to have that internal reconciliation that can allow them to bring that good energy to you, hopefully having done your own internal reconciliation and moving to a place where you can have reconciliation together. So it's kind of like what's standing in between you here. But we asked the question about what the energy was of the relationship, and from their standpoint, I feel like that's what we're getting. There's this sense of, it's not just a lack of development on their part, but also a lack of balance from a feminine energy standpoint. But honestly, their masculine energy is not particularly well balanced either. Everyone will need to balance both their masculine and feminine and then move forward, and together you balance the masculine and feminine across the relationship, and that's how you have something that works well. Here you have the Nine of Wands, though. There's a lot of defenses, a lot of defense mechanisms, and I'm just going to put the defense mechanisms card over next to the defense mechanisms. And honestly, this Empress card, I feel like, could just go anywhere, because it's very much, it should be close to the top here. It's part of an overview of kind of the situation. It's a lack of having all of the lessons learned. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you just don't have all the lessons learned. This is, though, what causes it to happen, or what it causes to happen, is that the person becomes tentative. They tend to be able to employ that hiding. Now, we've noticed that lately here, there hasn't been as much of the employment of those defense mechanisms as there has been historically. But that's not to say it hasn't happened. And in some cases, you haven't heard a peep. You're hearing about all these people that are coming back, and I'm hearing about all these people that are coming back, and yet there's nothing in the inbox. You're not necessarily seeing anything from this person. You're not hearing anything from this person. Nothing appears to have changed. This is all energy that is kind of eddying around you and behind the wall, and you can detect it, but you can't necessarily do much with it. And so it's incredibly frustrating. It's frustrating for them as well, though, because it's like they're having to contain something, but they're doing everything they can not to make the wrong step and fall off the cliff. They would not be walking off the cliff. It would be falling off in their case, and they feel like they already came too close to that. Here with the King of Cups, though, they're kind of telling themselves that they do have the ability to have emotions, which is not untrue, but they're not utilizing it in to its greatest capacity. We'll just say that. For the Four of Cups in reverse, though, this is why they keep being afraid they're going to fall off the cliff. They keep being overwhelmed by their emotions for you, and there's a lot of overwhelm in today's energy as well. We see that with the Ten of Wands. Here with the Reader card, though, there's this feeling of just kind of the information doesn't want to come to you about this. Almost, it feels like it almost doesn't want to come to you. It's almost like the intuition doesn't want to work for you, and it's a blind spot in your intuition or in their intuition. And that's also, they consider that to be a little bit of a blessing and a curse. But they want to be able to do what they want to be able to do. So not being able to have control of the situation and their understanding of it still vexes them. May be a bit of a shared energy, but this one's basically just hard to see into. And it takes a certain kind of view to look into the energy as a reader. So if somebody asks me to do a reading around their career or something, it's usually pretty straight ahead. I don't generally have to look in at it like sideways to get the real deal, because it's right there. It's not trying to hide itself. This energy works harder to hide itself, and sometimes can be particularly challenging to figure out what all of the different layers of the energy mean. And so this is basically, you don't have to be an energy reader to be having a hard time figuring out which way the wind blows in this situation. But they're definitely having a tough time with it, and you may be too. There's a desire then to go ahead and control that narrative, but not a whole lot of drive to make things change and to make things happen. In fact, it's a little bit quiet. So this is why some of you just kind of haven't heard anything at all from your person. This is that feeling of things being very quiet. Good thing we don't have that Ten of Swords. That's not even an honorable mention. But with this Page of Cups, it's this is that tendency to be quiet and hide and just allow time to pass and to allow things to go by so that you don't have to deal with the situation. That's distinctly the feeling that I got with that Queen of Cups card. It was a feeling of definitely, I'm glad I don't have to deal with this now. Well, now if that Ten of Swords comes back, I'm pretty sure I know what it is. All right, so the Ten of Pentacles, though. We have the Ten of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, the perfect situation for the person who doesn't feel like they deserve it. That's how I would sum it up. That is how I would sum it up. This is the perfect situation for a person who doesn't believe that they deserve it or can avail themselves of it. And so they keep quiet. And so they keep behind their defenses. And so they keep in their fear that they're going to fall off the cliff and end up moving in your direction almost without any choice, because they've got so much of a pull to do so. But this Reader card here in the reverse tells me they really just have, it's like the Seven of Cups feel a little bit. They've got so much confusion there that it's difficult for them to even know how to look at it. So they're trying their best maybe not to. All right. So now, as promised, let's give some focus to you and how you should be handling this. Because the question was, I'm still having a lot of hope that my person will come back. And of course, if you're feeling this, then it's going to be pretty unsettling there on the other side of that wall. What do you do, though? What do you do? This is the what do you do part. And it's where you're going to focus. It's the same question we always ask here. What are you going to focus on given what else you see out here on this table? But that's what we were talking about. We're talking about the situation that you have to respond to. And in today's energy, we also see that it's not easy to move forward. There's a lot of sadness, a lot of sorrow, a lot of regret, that sort of feeling. Okay, so we have the King of Pentacles in the reverse. It's a matter of working on your own worthiness. So this is the perfect situation for the person who doesn't believe they deserve it. We've got another case here of someone not quite believing they are deserving of something. So as much work as you may have done on your self-worth, there's still a little bit of a sense that some still may need to be done. There's a feeling here that you may not completely believe that what you want to have come towards you is what you deserve. And there's something here that has really locked you into this. It's not just that you insist on thinking this about yourself. You've been told this on some level by someone at some point. The message has been put out there for you that this isn't for you, that you aren't supposed to have this. And then you've got the truth coming to you here that suggests otherwise, and to suggest that you've always been. It's not a matter of deserving or entitlement. It's a matter of, it's just it's like your birthright, and that you're connected to it. It's a matter of uncovering your connection to what it is that you want. Not necessarily uncovering your connection to this person so much as uncovering your connection to the life that you want to live, to your own 10 of Pentacles, which is really it's a material take on an overall environment. It's this overall environment. That is what you should be moving toward. And it's the environment within your soul, but something here has, with this devil energy, convinced you otherwise and has exerted some control over you as a result of it. So that's what you're looking for. It's not necessarily going to... So it turns out if an alarm goes off on your phone, it will stop recording a video. Luckily, I saw it and captured it, and we're just going to go right on from here, but sorry for the break in the video. So we also have the 7 of Pentacles. This is that investment that you haven't made in yourself, that you need to make in yourself. You have an opportunity towards something right now, and I know that right now the opportunity may feel a little bit frustrating if you're in this energy, which you may not be. This feels like it is shared energy, but it feels like it might be a little bit more heavily weighted toward your person. So if you're not experiencing this, just skate on past it. It can be like a storm that moves past you but doesn't hit. With the 7 of Pentacles, and remember that if it is hitting you, it is temporary. So with the 7 of Pentacles, this is investment that you haven't made in yourself that could feel extremely heavy when you get into it here. But here we go again with this decision that keeps coming out for you. And you have the opportunity basically to make up all the ground that you feel like you may have missed in this situation. So don't feel too concerned that you've missed all your time, that you've missed all your opportunities, or that you're wasting all this time worrying about this person and kind of being down on yourself, because honestly, this is part of the lesson. This is part of the experience. It's just not a particularly enjoyable one, so it feels like time that's being wasted. There is a tendency for you to, at this time, oh gosh, I wish this Strength card was supposed to be right here. The 7 of Swords, though, is telling me that there's still some work to do in the area of your own self-trust. And this is a tough one because it's something that grows slowly. It grows very steadily, and sometimes something significant can happen, something tumultuous can happen where the trust is going to grow a little bit more, a little bit faster, but that's not always a super reliable thing, and it's definitely not the way you want to go about living your life, because it's a whole bunch of tumultuous experiences that maybe are bringing people together, but it's not very much fun. So if you're going to do that, find something more exciting to bring, a hobby that people enjoy, that you enjoy, to bring you together with other people, rather than bad situations that have a tendency to build those bonds also. But if you have some choices here, think about the long term. There are always so many choices in every single day, but these are big choices. This 2 of Swords that keeps coming up is kind of do you want to go in a place that shortens your path, or do you want to go ahead and stay working on this longer path? And it's not a rhetorical question. It sounds like, well, obviously I want to take the shorter path, but there's a certain type of investment that is required and a certain type of self-trust that is required. And you have to truly evaluate within yourself if you're ready for that, because you've had something happen here that's kind of taken away your tendency to believe that you deserve and have the worthiness for what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And it's more than just being with this person. It's an overall lifestyle. So you've got the Hierophant here. And the Hierophant is really about it's instead of it being somebody that you will meet or that you can go to for advice. This is advice that just it just kind of comes to you, and you've already heard it, but it starts to activate within you as a result of seeing or hearing something else. So it's going to be I was wondering how I was going to get that out. It's like advice that you've already heard that suddenly starts to become very relevant and you hearken back to it. So be prepared to hearken back to advice that you've heard in the past. I would kind of say go back and look at some of the videos that have happened in the past, or get some of the main messages if you've captured any messages from some of those videos, or wherever it is that you're getting information. I'm not suggesting that this is the only place that you would get information. It is but one place that you could potentially get the information that you need, and some of the peace that you're looking for. But it feels like you have some of the answers here for how to make this decision in a peaceful way. Then we have the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles is saying there's still a lesson here that needs to be learned. You know that, you get that. So you're getting this opportunity with this decision to kind of jump ahead in your development. And this is going to be around the jumping ahead portion of the decision would be around kind of walking away from, not walking away from, but just focusing elsewhere other than what's happening with this person and with this situation, and focusing then toward the opportunities that are coming your way. You may not be completely ready to do that. You may not be able to pull yourself out of the mire that is working through this piece. And you got to be honest with yourself, because if you're not, you'll end up getting pulled back into it. And that's why sometimes you have those good days and you have bad days, because I think in a lot of cases you're actually working very hard to pull yourself out of the overthinking mire that has captured you essentially. But with this self-trust that's still needing to build, and some of it honestly has been injured within the scope of this situation, there's information there that's inside that's going to help you, because there's a lot going on and you can certainly benefit from it. Do not let anyone treat you in a way that is less than what you deserve. That's one thing I would say. Don't let anyone treat you less than you deserve. It's a pretty strong message. There is a tower here, that's something that you're going to need to go through that you are not yet going through. This is not avoidance. Sometimes when we see the tower, a lot of the times when we see the tower, it's someone who's avoiding allowing the tower to fall and allowing the change to happen. This isn't it. This just hasn't happened yet. The thing is, there's no rush for this tower to fall, but you're going to have immense learnings when it does. When it happens, and it doesn't have any bearing on what else is going on in your life. This is going to be something that helps you to gain a new height, and really would, if you were hitting this crossroads at that time, would catapult you in an obvious direction. At this time, there's no catapulting you in an obvious direction, so it's just kind of this, swirling around, and there's not an energy that makes you necessarily want to get out and be super social about it. So, it's there. The Three of Cups in the reverse is an interesting card. Well, the Three of Cups can be an interesting card. Sometimes it's about a third party. It's not really here, except that you probably aren't really looking for one or looking at one. Or if you've met one, you're not as thrilled about it, potentially. But it's not about the third party energy with you so much at this point. This is about your level of enjoyment and your ability to enjoy. So there's something here that is kind of suffering, and it's almost like it's associated with this feeling over here, the day-to-day disappointment that you're feeling right now. This is a disappointment kind of feeling that you're feeling in the day-to-day. And maybe you're not. This is the energy that's there. And again, you could be skirting this and feeling like, oh, I'm glad that's not me. If so, perfectly fine. If this energy is there, you do not have to participate if you do not have to. However, this, as I'm looking at it, suggests you may be participating in this, or at least feeling some of the edges of it. So you've got some choices to make about what you want to do. Do you want to walk within this pain, within this development, continue working on some things and continue investing in places in yourself that you need to, at the detriment of losing some of your energy, a lot of your energy? And that time was really strange. That time, I think, I think it was associated with the alarm again, except the alarm didn't go off. I just happened to look up and see the video go off. Sorry for the technical glitches. I don't usually have very many of those. Or maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I don't usually have too many of those. Anyway, I think we're kind of wrapping up. It's just I'm observing the big picture here and what your options really are. You can stick with it or you can choose to walk away. But you are going to end up in very much the same place with the lessons. And we see that some of those lessons haven't been learned. So we're going to open up to some of the lessons that you need to focus on in the extended, because this one really is about you and what you can do. We are also going to look a little bit more deeply into this relationship and get your person's take on it. So we're going to do like a them on one side and a you on another side. And in fact, I think I'm going to grab another deck because one of these decks has been screaming them and one of them's been screaming you this whole time. So we're going to kind of, even though they've done their duties and they have easily communicated what they needed to communicate regardless of who it was about, and I will honor that. But we're going to do what's happening with them within this energy, and then what are you supposed to do with it so that you can kind of see side by side what's happening between the two of you. And that's what we'll do in the extended, and hopefully have fewer strange technical difficulties. So if you would like to go to the extended, the link is down below. Otherwise, I will see you in tomorrow's reading.